What I'd like to talk about today is getting a dog slash puppy regret. Someone wrote to me recently and said they've watched all my videos but don't remember me covering this topic. They say if you type in regret getting a dog or regret getting a puppy into Google, there are many, many stories of people's regrets over getting these animals once they find out what they are really like to live with. But then the dog owners get shamed into keeping their dogs when they really don't want to keep them. Someone else wrote yesterday on my channel that we should check out a YouTube series called It's Me or the Dog, where families get their dog's behavior sorted out. And just imagine how many people don't have a pro trainer with them to help them and what they end up living with. Just like Super Nanny, if you've seen that. Like, these people get these professional trainers that cost a lot of money to come into their lives and help sort out the problems they're experiencing with their dogs. Now, how many people cannot afford professional trainers and are stuck living with these abominable creatures that are making their lives absolutely miserable? And they put up with it. Why? Because they are pressured by our society to do so. People shame them into keeping these things. Anyway, I made a video a while back called It Is Okay to Get Rid of Your Dog, where I talked about this, and I talked about the shaming that takes place. And I talked about how many people want to get rid of their dogs but don't, because they don't want to be rejected by their social circle. It is a huge problem, and it is proof that dogs are not all they are cracked up to be. You just go into Google and you search, I got a dog, what was I thinking? And this pops up. A guide you can buy to survive life with your new dog or puppy. It's obvious. It's very difficult for a lot of people to adjust to having a dog, a new dog or a puppy. And yeah, they're really difficult to live with and they will make your life miserable. But instead of advising people to not get dogs or to give the dogs away, what are they advised to do? Spend money on the guide, spend money on the books, spend money on the trainers. It's a huge money-making racket. Just go on to Google and search regret getting my dog, and you will find countless, millions of stories. People saying that they got a dog because they thought it was going to help them with anxiety and depression. And aren't we all told that, right? All these people using these emotional support animals, we are led to believe that they will help with our mental health problems. It's the opposite for many, many, many people. Instead of helping with their symptoms of anxiety and depression, instead of reducing people's stress, dogs add a shit ton of stress to these people's lives, and they are surprised by it. They weren't expecting this. The dogs are shitting and pissing all over the place. They are whining all night long, keeping them awake. These people are sleep deprived. The dogs are chewing and destroying their property. They're barking constantly. The people are receiving complaints from neighbors. It's stress, 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 driving them crazy. They don't have enough time for it. They feel guilty. Blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on. Go read the stories. It's one after another. Look at this. Like, this person gets a dog. It's urinating all over the place. It's hating the crate. It's whining all night. It's just a nightmare. She's destroyed the carpet, causing hundreds of dollars of damage, and is on medication now. More money you got to spend on the thing because of its separation anxiety. The dog is showing aggression. It's attacking other dogs. It's making this person's life miserable. It's a nightmare. It's creating so much stress in this person's life. And why do they put up with it? People compare dogs to children, and you'll hear this often. People will say, you would never consider giving away your human child, would you? So how could you consider getting rid of your dog? As if it's the same thing. In my video about how it is okay to get rid of your dog, I talked about this and I explained how dogs will adjust to their new living environment within days, sometimes weeks, but it's very quick. They adjust. They do just fine in a new environment as long as they're getting food. That's all they care about. Human children, though, they will be traumatized for life if you just plunk them into a new environment. Like, it's not the same. They are not the same. And children are needed. We need children to uphold our civilization, to run things, to keep our society going once we become too old to do so. We need kids, but we do not need dogs. So there's a huge difference there. So this person in the example I gave you, and there are so many other stories you can read, similar stories online, what went wrong? They're talking about how a lot of shelters, dogs and owners go through similar experiences. This is very common. And they explain that the people who work in animal shelters just want to find their animals a loving home as quick as possible. They do not care about people. They do not care about how the dog is going to destroy their lives and make them miserable. They don't care. They just want to get these animals out of their animal shelter to make themselves feel like they've done a good deed or whatever craziness is going on in their head, because they don't have compassion or empathy. These people are heartless. If they really were compassionate, loving people, they would care about the families that are bringing home these mutants and how these disgusting creatures are ruining their lives. But nope, they don't care about that. Now, apparently, July and December are regret getting a dog months. And look at the name of this website, just makes my blood boil. My pet child. It's not a child. It is a shit-eating, unpredictable predator. Anyway, they talk about how March 23rd is known as National Puppy Day, a day for celebrating the unconditional love of puppies. Newsflash, people, dogs are incapable of love. You are delusional if you believe your dog loves you. I made a video about that. Check it out if you haven't already. They talk about how they offer these special promotions such as Adopt a Dog for Free Day and so on to encourage people to go out and adopt dogs. And I hate that word adopt. You adopt a child. It's a word that is reserved for humans, for adopting humans. You don't adopt a dog. You purchase a dog or you get a dog. Anyway, what happens is after a little while, people realize that life with a dog is not what they were led to believe it would be. It's actually horrible, and they want to get rid of the dogs. This is common, happens all the time. They give different reasons. Why do people regret getting a dog? Could be behavioral and personality mismatch. The dog has a health issue. The owner isn't financially ready. Could be that the dogs are just shit. I mean, they talk here about puppy depression, that apparently this is an entirely normal response for first-time puppy owners. The owner may feel this temporarily for several reasons, including a loss in freedom, feeling overwhelmed by the new responsibilities, and sleep deprivation. Apparently this is very normal, and a lot of people experience this. So what happens when people experience this? They are told that it will pass. They put pressure on you to work through the problems. You have to sacrifice and make adjustments. You need to do certain things like set time aside for yourself every day. Get help. Get a dog walker, hire a dog trainer, spend money on a trainer, and so forth. And they go on and on. What else would you add to this list? How about don't ever get a fucking dog? Encourage others to never get a dog. Problem solved. And in the comments, I'll share the link in the description. You just read like, how can you even consider this? Even if the dog knocks toddlers over, just focus on the good qualities. Unbelievable, just sickening. Now and then you will read comments where people are supportive and they will encourage the person to get rid of the dog, but most comments are written by people who compare dogs to children, who just are shaming the people into keeping the dogs. I'm surprised you would say this. You know deep down you do not regret it. I never regret my girls. Disgusting. Here, would you give a child away because he or she was scared of the dark? Again, dogs are not children. They don't even come close to being like children. To compare the two is highly insulting to children. Children don't slurp up their vomit and sniff your crotch and hump your leg and attack people because they look like prey. They will not attack someone because they made a sudden noise or movement. Anyway, it's just one story after another online. I could sit here all day and talk to you about different stories, but please go online, read for yourself these horror stories of people who regret getting their dogs. And here the person's getting complaints about the dogs barking while they're away at work. And then what's the response? Are you able to speak to the people to explain the situation? There is no situation that needs explaining. You should never expect your neighbors to tolerate this. You say you're sorry for destroying their health. See my video about how dogs barking is more than just a pesky nuisance. It is destroying our lives, destroying our health. So you say you're very sorry and you get rid of the damn thing or things. These people had a couple of dogs, but there's no reason to keep them. They are worthless. It's just one story after another. And you look at the comments, sometimes they're supportive, but most of the time people are like, how can you do this? You would never get rid of a child. How dare you? Shame, shame, shame. These people feel guilty. They are shamed into keeping their dogs, so they end up keeping them in most cases, it seems, and they suffer. And not only do they suffer, but their children suffer because all of the time and the money, and that's the main advice people are given. Get training, get a trainer, invest money in a trainer. All of that money could be spent on their children's education. Go put your kid into some kind of organized sports or something that you can't afford. Take them on a vacation. Expose them to a different culture. Enrich their lives. Invest in your kids. But no, it's more important to get a trainer for your worthless shit eater so it can continue depositing piles of shit into our environment that spread disease and pollute our water. They contribute nothing positive to our society. It is absolute craziness. I just can't believe the shit I see when it comes to dogs and dog ownership. It's obvious that people don't like dogs. We are being shamed into keeping them. It's absolute craziness. So, thanks for watching. I look forward to your comments. And remember, the future is dog-free.